This is episode 39 of the Latter-day Saint Geeks podcast. I'm Spencer, and my co-host today is Joe, back to talk more Marvel.
Hello, hello, hello.
So we got plenty of announcements recently about Avengers Doomsday, but that's not what we're going to mainly be talking about today, although I'm sure it'll come up. We got 3 more Marvel projects coming up in the next few months, just before the end of the summer even, and a couple big ticket ones, one maybe not so big ticket, and the 2 big ones definitely play into next year's Avengers Doomsday. So I'm really curious to get your thoughts on them. But
Yeah, let's hop right into recommendations. um, so lately I've been back on a Star Trek kick. I just finished Picard, which was so good. For anybody who was a fan of Next Generation when it was coming out, it is choice. It is Next Generation in full form with the modern day stuff. I absolutely loved every second of it. And I've also been watching Discovery, so mine's a double recommendation. What? Discovery is fascinating because it takes place like a couple years before Kirk. But and it's interesting because when they're doing it, they can either go a few years before Kirk or way in the future. Because Discovery, I think like season 2 spoilers, we get into the future of the future.
it was like a big time jump there or something, right? Like time
Yeah,
travel or
there's a
something
time jump.
crazy.
Yep, they do a time travel to do this thing, and yeah, we get to see like the future Federation, which is cool because, well, I mean, if we look at it now, like if we watch Next Generation now, it's like, oh yeah, no, all this stuff in the past, and it's like, they never mentioned that the internet existed because the internet was barely a thing when Star Trek came out. So,
Barely a thing.
mm-hmm. So yeah, that's my recommendations: is Picard and Discovery, and I will let you know when I watch New Worlds or whatever it's called.
I was gonna ask. I heard that Discovery leads into Strange New Worlds, but I haven't watched Discovery, but I've watched Strange New Worlds, so I was curious how your thoughts on that leading in, but I guess not relevant yet if you haven't watched it.
So I have seen the episodes where they do, because they had a what they call a backdoor pilot, where they have the pilot inside of another show. It's like how the Flash showed up in
Right,
Arrow
Captain Pike
before he showed
appeared,
up.
right?
Yeah. Oh yeah. But yeah, this one it had like Pike in it, and it had a few things. So you got to see Pike for a few episodes before they went off and did their own thing. So yeah, I liked that, and I was more than interested to seeing that. But when the first time I watched it, it had just come out, and they were like, "Oh yeah, we're going to do this new thing." I'm like, "But we're already in a thing. I only have so many hours a day."
Yeah,
So yeah,
I think you'll like Strange New Worlds, but I mean, I guess we'll see. Come back in a couple months to do the next Marvel projects or something, and you can recommend Strange New Worlds. I don't know.
or I'll bully you into making us do a whole Star Trek episode.
That would take a while because I'm definitely, even though I grew up with my dad watching Star Trek around me, I've not watched a ton of Star Trek, but I'm working on it. I'm working on it.
All right, as long as you are repenting and going forward, then all will can be forgiven.
I've watched Strange New Worlds. I've watched the original series, and I think those. And I'm working on next generation right now, but that's slow going because only so many hours in the day.
Exactly. So, what's your recommendation?
My recommendation. I mean, we're recording this general conference weekend, so I feel like I should at least like mention that. Go check out the general conference talks. Like I was wonderful this weekend. The parts that I was able to hear over my kids. Um, but as far as geeky recommendations, I'm gonna go with the really it could be any music from Bluey, but the dance mode track um, from the episode Dance Mode. Um, my 2-year old absolutely loves it. She wants me to like tap her on her back to like dance mode her every time, just like they do in the show. It's like, Daddy, dance mode me. And I'm like, okay. And little parenting hack is that it can get the kids moving a little bit in the morning when we're trying to get them ready. Does it get them moving and getting dressed? That's another story. But it gets my 5-year-old off the couch when she's curled up, not wanting to move, which who could blame her, you know? But we still got to move.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes I throw on some Bluey music, and dance mode is a preferred track. So it makes me smile. So hopefully it'll make you or someone else listening smile by going to listen to it on Spotify or wherever you do music.
I love the Bluey music. Those guys know what they're doing. Everything about Bluey.
It's just,
Getting just
I,
so choice.
yeah. Like, I know they're not doing new episodes right now, and that makes me sad. But also the reason that he's not making more episodes right now because he wants it to be like quality. I am all for that because I don't want them to water down the quality just to have more Bluey.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if we're gonna have more Bluey, let's make it quality. So I'm okay waiting for the movie in 2027 and not having more until then if it means that it's quality content.
Yeah, if it means it's going to be amazing, then yeah, I want to see. I will wait. And we have seen things, good things do come to those who wait. Some of the best games that have come out in the last few years were postponed.
And some of
And the viewers were
the
told,
actually,
I'm
I was
sorry?
gonna say that some of the things that have not been so good have been rushed. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of the critiques that people have about the MCU right now is that there's just so much going on, and for a while it was just getting pushed out. I didn't have a problem with any of it. Well, except maybe Eternals. That was kind of I struggled with Eternals, but I mean, they learned their lesson and they took some extra time. Like I still haven't started it yet, but Daredevil was redone to meet some more fan expectations, and that took longer to get it released, and now it's been released. I still need to watch it because I'm still behind on rewatching the stuff that came before, but we already talked about Daredevil last time, so we can move right along to what's still upcoming, unless you have any thoughts to further segue us into Marvel.
No, I think you segued us perfectly. I love it.
It was a little
So
bit
yeah,
of
the
a
first big
shoehorn
thing.
there to segue us, but I felt like it worked.
No, I thought it was really good. You did a great job. We're in. The first one coming out, or next one coming out, is going to be Thunderbolts in May 2025. I am dying for this.
So I need to know because this is not a team that I'm familiar with, except that this movie exists. I mean, there's obviously whatever amount of comic source material for it. I was when I first heard about it, I'm like, it's Marvel's Suicide Squad, more or less. To oversimplify the matter, I'm sure. Um, but what I was surprised was like that seemed like half the roster was from the Black Widow movie, and I'm like, that seems a little lopsided, but maybe that's just makes sense. I don't know. But what are your thoughts?
Well, so here's the thing Black Widow doesn't have a lot of comic book stories that are like, okay, this is the definition of Black Widow. Like, she's always there, but she doesn't really do a ton herself. She's more, I mean, like, she doesn't have like her own big, like, okay, well, there's the crisis of Black Widow. So when they wrote her story, they've kind of had to take everything that was Black Widow or even tangentially related and push them all together. So I'm not surprised that they had a bunch of characters from it show up, but it is like, yeah, it is a little Black Widow heavy, but that's because they were just grasping for whatever they could put in a Black Widow movie. And I loved the Black Widow movie. I
Oh
thought
yeah, I
Scarlett
had no
Johansson did.
problems with it.
Oh yeah, she did a fabulous job. She could definitely carry the movie. It was just, you know, what do you do with her? What do you do with this international, former spy? And the other thing was the stories that do exist, the few that do exist with her, are all about the KGB. The KGB has been disbanded for 20 years. Like we can't use them unless they're like secret KGB things, and then we're going to get into a whole other argument. But yeah, I think using the Red Room and using the Black Widow thing, that worked.
I mean, they could have used Hydra, I guess. Agents of Shield did that forever instead of KGB, but yeah, yeah, your point is solid.
Well, and Hydra was also like code for Nazis, so it's like we can't have them both be the Nazis and the KGB. They were two separate entities, um, if both scary. But yeah, it was just. I love that we're getting. I love that we're seeing Yelena again because she was so good. So yeah, but no, I loved her in Hawkeye. I wanted more of this character because it was like she was Black Widow, but had an added like more personality. She was just funny.
Yelena with Kate Bishop was, oh my gosh, she's just like vibing with Kate. That like Kate Bishop, you crack me up. I'm gonna go kill Clint. Like who talks like that?
Exactly. Well, because to her, this is to Kate, it was like this is a new thing of being involved with the superhero world and the spy world and this and that. But Yelena grew up with this. This is her day in the office. Is okay. Well, it's like she's an exterminator who meets somebody who's nice, during a job. She doesn't give a crap, but then she's like, "Oh yeah, no, I guess we have to fight. All right, I guess we're gonna fight. Let's go." So yeah, I'd love to see her with some of these with these just silly yokels that are showing up.
I mean, elsewhere on the cast list, we have Bucky, which absolutely makes sense, and Red Guardian, who again, it's from Black Widow, but it sounds like most of the Black Widow stuff, it's like it was thrown together for Black Widow, but makes sense for Thunderbolts if you know the source material, right?
Oh yeah. Well,
And then
in the
same with
source material,
Taskmaster.
well, Taskmaster and Ghost were two interesting ones on it because I don't remember the Thunderbolts ever having villains. Thunderbolts was really more of a
Anti-heroes?
more like the B team. Like they were the
Okay.
heroes who they weren't quite strong enough to save the world, but they could definitely show up if we needed to save a city. And they
Okay.
could definitely and I believe for a minute, I believe their first team was Dial H for Hero or something, where it was like they were heroes. No, it was Heroes for Hire. That's what it's called. Was Heroes for Hire.
Wait, Luke Cage and Iron Fist.
Yeah,
Oh, because those two I recognize.
yeah. Luke Cage used to be in the was a Thunderbolt for a while, and I know there's a bunch of other names that show up in the Thunderbolts roster, but it was like, yeah, these guys show up when like a city needs to be saved. But I love how they have sort of made it into, like you said, the Suicide Squad of the Marvel universe, which makes perfect sense with Marvel because the only thing that you know the only decent movies that DC came out with was Wonder Woman and the Suicide Squad. So there you go. You know, like it's interesting to see on a macro version of this is how hard DC was trying to emulate Marvel for so many years to get their universe running. And when Marvel's universe started to stall, their first thing was they went and emulated DC.
I mean, yeah, you go where the success is.
Exactly. And people, I think we got to the point where seeing our heroes on screen, I mean, there's that famous scene of the camera rotating around the Avengers in the middle of New York as they're about to take on the Loki and his army. And we're all just like, but it's been what, 10, 15 years since then. And I think we were just getting tired of that. And we wanted some people who are able to joke about this universe in these universes.
Yeah.
And these guys are, I think this is going to be a funny movie. I hope it's going to be funny.
See, would you say joking about the universe, but what popped in my mind, and this is a bit more of the dry humor, I guess. Valentina Allegra de Fontaine. We've seen her a few times across Black Widow, Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Black Panther 2, and honestly, I'm like, who is this woman? For the longest time. So, and she's the one that I feel like is going to be like just dry humor with all of the like what the Avengers. Really? Like she's gonna be cracking it about like honestly how you like you said the MCU kind of stalled there, um, and had to pull the brakes to get things right. And I feel like she's gonna make some jokes about that
Which I am so
because
here
the
for, because that's
Avengers
the one
can't
who's
put it together.
she's the one who's played by Elaine, right?
Yeah, that's all. Like
Yeah,
I didn't watch Seinfeld, but I know she's Elaine.
yeah. I think that's how I've always known her. She's Elaine, and yeah, she's always good with that. And she did have the really good cutting wit whenever we've met her. And I do want these jokes to be made. I also keep remembering the What If season 3 where we had Winter Soldier and Red Guardian, and that just cracked me up.
Oh my gosh, that episode was possibly the best one of the season.
It was so fun. It was so
Bucky
cute.
was
I was
just
so
so
here for.
over it.
He really was though, and it was that classic comedy where you have the goofball and the straight man, and they were just bouncing off of each other. And then when you added in um uh Goliath into the mix, and they were
Oh, I forgot
bouncing
about
off of
that.
him.
Yeah.
Oh, that was good. And they had all the original actors for it. And we had Goliath actually got his due. I was so happy with that. Now, for me, the real interesting thing I did want to talk about was the villain, our big villain.
Is that Bob? Is that who that I he's the new
Bob
guy on the
Reynolds, the Sentry.
that's like the
So,
only new character coming into this main cast roster that has not appeared before. So tell me about Bob.
so he's so odd as a villain, and I have no earthly clue what his powers are in this movie. Because we see him, he turns people into paint splatter. And that's not the powers from the comic books. He's more of your average Superman, Omni Man, Shazam sort of thing, where he can fly, super strength, impervious to bullets. But
Okay.
also on top of that, he has glorious hair that rivals Thor.
That's a superpower in and of itself.
It really is, though. But the interesting thing with him was that his whole deal was that he had been, according to the comics, he had been around forever in the superhero community. But he was super powerful, which is great. But he also had some mental health issues. And because of that, he was starting to have issues like telling what was and wasn't real, which, when you have that kind of power, is extremely dangerous. So, in order to make sure that he was okay, I think it was the Illuminati. So, I think it was Mr. Fantastic and Professor Xavier got together and said, look, let's just erase everybody's memory that he exists, erase his memory, put him in a mental health institution, and just keep, touching that up every couple of years so that he doesn't get loose and hurt people.
Which will be interesting because at least those two members of the Illuminati are not in our classic Earth 616 MCU.
Oh, yeah, that's good because if that.
They exist in the multiverse. We have them coming up pretty soon. Actually, we have them announced for Doomsday, but they aren't in this movie as far as we know.
Yeah, so I'm wondering if everyone's. I'm wondering if it's going to be a different type of Sentinel, or if maybe, or Sentry, or if maybe this is me being a bigger DC fan and missing something that Sentry does. But it just seems like that's what I know about Sentry is that his power is not turn people into ink splatters unless he hits them really hard. And he wasn't doing that in the trailer. He was just sort of casting a shadow and then they splatted, which looked incredible.
I
But
mean,
I don't know what
I
on earth
read
he's doing.
something about like, is he also called the Void? Is that a thing or?
If it is a thing, it's nothing I've ever heard of.
Okay, so we're kind of Joe's going into this blind, which is not unheard of, but it is unusual.
It is unusual. Well, and also remember, this is Thunderbolts was a team in the comics that was for the people who didn't want the big, epic superhero. They wanted something a little more grounded, which is great. My entrance into Marvel comics has always been through the X-Men. So it's always or through the Runaways. So so some of these teams get a little bit fuzzy on my end. But I am really looking forward to it. Like I said, if it's Century, the Void, if the enemy is, Kakamura's from Moana, whatever's happening, I am here for it because I want to see this team.
Yeah. Well, and the interesting thing will be another interesting thing will be like this is our big crossover. We have not had a big crossover since Endgame. So this is the first one we've had, unless you count Spider-Man crossing over with himself, which was awesome. Um, but also that most of the like a good number of these characters and a big number of the Thunderbolts have been announced to appear in Doomsday. What that means for the rest of the team, what that means for this movie, I have absolutely no idea. And for all I know, it's a variant of Winter Soldier. It's a variant of Yelena that is in Doomsday. We know nothing about Doomsday for that matter, but we know that a number of the Thunderbolts are going to be in that movie. So how
Oh
this
yeah.
movie plays into next year's movie, I got no idea.
Well, and I also wanted to say real fast that I am glad that the heat has come off of the guy who plays U.S. Agent, because I remember when it was first announced in
Oh, that was bad.
Bucky. Yeah, it was so like people got so toxic, and I really wish that the toxicity, and I'm glad that that toxicity level of him coming back is not happening this time because we get it now. He was supposed to look bad. He was supposed to not feel like a new Captain America because he was going to be U.S. Agent.
Right, because he
That's
got trashed, not the character. He got trashed, right?
Yeah, no, they ripped into this poor man.
For doing his job really well.
Yeah, he did a good job. He was great in that show. But I just hate how we people jump to these conclusions. But this time I am glad that they've left him be. Like we get what he's doing now, but even then, even if we don't get what an actor is doing, let's not jump down someone's throat just because of like a trailer or a screenshot or he showed up at the end of the first episode and looked goofy and then that's when a lot of the hate came out. Let's not as a
Like,
people.
let's see how the series plays out before you judge the character.
Exactly. At the
Have these
very end, you can judge them all you want.
You're supposed to have these impressions. Doesn't mean your impression is right, and apparently it was this time. But you know what? That's not the dude's fault. That's the character's fault.
Exactly. Well, we hated Snape for 6 3/4 of these Harry Potter books,
I
but then
still
at
hate
one
him.
point, we've had this argument before.
Yeah.
I'm in love with him. I think he's the
Oh,
best
he's
thing Rowling
beautifully
ever wrote.
written, but obs- yeah, beautifully
Oh,
written.
he's beautifully written. Absolutely beautifully written. Anyway, moving on to the next one. Ironheart is coming out in June.
On Disney Plus, if I recall correctly. This one's going to be a series. I don't know how many episodes. Probably half a dozen, if I recall correctly. Um, but we have not seen her since Black Panther 2, except for appearing in an episode of What If, which she doesn't have her armor as of the end of Black Panther 2, so what's going on? We know next to nothing of like there's no other returning characters, there's no basis for this. It was one of those projects that I think some people were, especially since Black Panther 2 didn't do amazingly, like I think people expected this project to be shelved.
Well, I have fan theories, but other than that, I am curious to see what they do with it, and I am here for it. I am praying that it does not end up being the same as Miss Marvel, which just that show hurt.
In what way? Because I enjoyed Ms.
I
Marvel, but I also was disappointed because I had seen her in Avengers Assemble, and my expectations were not met based on the animated character.
I just felt like the character was really irritating. Like I was just part of me was like, just get off of my lawn, I especially when she does the thing and like turns her dad down from going to like their Comic-Con thing. I was like, oh girl, do you know how many of us would love for our dads to come with us to Comic-Con and
Oh,
dress
that's
up?
right.
That'd be fun.
We've talked about this before. It was the being a teenage girl and like way too stereotypical of a teenage girl.
Yeah, it was like, and I'm if people liked it, I'm more than like it. if you like it. That's fabulous. It was not my cup of tea. And I was just like, because by the end of it, I was like, okay, we get it. You're a Gen Z, or you're an alpha. You're not funny. Making these references is not funny. And I've always thought of Marvel, like Miss Marvel, her biggest thing was that she was funny because she was like a fangirl.
Mm-hmm.
She's the one who, when Spider-Man shows up, she's not just like, oh, good, Spider-Man, you're here to help, or, some grudgingly, oh, I guess you're the web crawler, or, the typical superhero fight. She'd squee and get his autograph.
Mm-hmm.
That's my Miss Marvel. And not just to Captain Marvel, because I know she was a Captain Marvel fan, but in the comics, she knows all the heroes.
Yeah.
But I don't know. My other want with this is, here's my weird fan theory. You ready for this?
Okay.
Okay. Ironheart is a hero who was inspired by Iron Man.
Right.
Okay. Another hero that got a lot of stuff from Iron Man was Spider-Man. I want Ironheart to team up with Spider-Man and be like, hey, I have these ideas to help augment your powers and help make you a better crime fighter.
Mm-hmm.
And with Stark tech and maybe some like Wakanda tech. And Spider-Man go, I already had that. I'd be more than happy to have it again.
Yeah.
Because no one knows who he was.
Yeah, I'd be curious to if your theory plays out. I'd be curious because I don't know how the licensing works, because this being a TV show and not a movie, if they could use Tom Holland, or is it because it's live action he would be off limits, or I mean part of a whatever deal, because that would be a big thing to use an appearance of Tom Holland for a TV show that might get some flack, Um, that being said, yeah, and especially because as of the end of No Way Home, no one knows who Spidey is. They know that Spider-Man exists, but they don't know who Peter Parker is anymore. So that'd be interesting for sure.
And that would also kind of bring Spider-Man back into, because they've had him a bit like
At arm's length.
Yeah, and I think part of it is the Sony licensing, and part of it is that Tom Holland became just the biggest thing since sliced bread for a minute.
Mm-hmm.
So, and you at one point you just can't afford the actors in your movies anymore. I remember going back to Star Trek real fast. I remember when they did Star Trek, when they rebooted the movies.
Right, the J.J. Abrams.
Yeah. Well, who's in the first 10 minutes who gets killed off? It's Chris Hemsworth.
Yeah,
and it's like today, if you try to get
that was like right before Thor, or right around the same time.
Yeah, it was right before that. Like, you could not get him in 10 minutes of a movie to get killed off today, all right? That would cost you the whole movie.
So if they're going to have Tom Holland on this, it would be a major part.
It would be a major part. It'd be really expensive, but it would be a good gamble if they want more visibility with Ironheart, which I'm so here for. Like, let's do more heroes of color. Let's do more women heroes. I'm so here for this, and I'm so ready for Ironheart to just stun us.
And here's the thing too, like you commented about comparing her to Ms. Marvel, that you don't want it to go the same way as Ms. Marvel. And I think I still stand by this, that era of the MCU had enough success that it was able to experiment with a horror movie in Doctor Strange, a kung fu movie in Shang-Chi, a spy movie in Black Widow. They did a teen drama in Ms. Marvel. It definitely did not stick with everyone, as even Joe did not like it.
Yeah, that's true.
But they were able to do it. But like with Riri Williams being Ironheart, I feel like in a way they can almost like redo that, or have like a retry the young female, young adult demographic. That, yeah, she is different. Like, we've already got a taste of her from Black Panther and from What If. Um, she's not the fangirl that Ms. Marvel was. She's, she was very respectful to the Wakandans, but she was still like, she knows she's a brilliant scientist. She's like, I have my own armor. You definitely used Wakanda's tech to make it better, but like, she knows her strengths, so she doesn't have to fangirl everywhere like Ms. Marvel did. But yeah, we'll see. But I don't want it like overshadowed by what happened in Black Panther 2, because I know people that, and part of it was just after Chadwick Boseman died, it was like, what do you do with this franchise? So in some ways, Black Panther 2 was just a struggle right out the gate, because no matter who they were going to make the new Black Panther, it was going to ruffle feathers somewhere.
Oh yeah.
So I don't want Ironheart to struggle, because Black Panther was inevitably going to struggle somewhere. So,
Well, and it's true. Like we have to give Ironheart like her own space to breathe, and I'm glad that we are. I would be happy if Cherie showed up in Ironheart.
oh
If we
yeah,
can't afford Black Panther, let's get or if we can't afford Tom Holland, let's get some of the folks in Black Panther to come in. Let's keep that going.
they got lots of options, and I hope that they do well. I don't think it's going to be as big as WandaVision was back in the day, or as big as Daredevil has been lately. But I think it could still be good. And not everything needs to be a home run. Sometimes it can just be good.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, one of my favorite Marvel movies has got a lot of people, with their had a lot of people with their arms up, and there was a lot of complaints about it, and yet it's still one of my favorites, and we're still dealing with the fallout from it today. So, you know,
Which one was that?
multiverse.
Oh yeah, that was so good.
I
I thought
love
you were gonna say like
multiverse.
Dark World, or Age of Ultron or something.
I love Age of Ultron. I'm an Age of Ultron defender,
Yeah.
but I know a lot of people who had issues with multiverse, and I was just like, no, more Wanda, all the Wanda.
Oh, she did such a good job in that movie, acting and all.
Absolutely.
Anything else you want to say about Ironheart?
Oh no, I'm just looking forward to it, and I'm excited to see where this goes.
All right, so our third one this summer, July, finally, the Fantastic Four.
Let's go, Fantastic Four.
So we've had in MCU movies, we've had two other iterations of um, Fantastic Four characters. We had Mr. Fantastic in Multiverse of Madness, and we had Human Torch in Deadpool and Wolverine. Um, I
So we
just like
had a third.
we had a third.
We had a third. You ready for this? This is a deep cut I actually do know. If you remember Captain Marvel, they're messing around with the Skrulls, right?
Right.
One of the Skrulls, they're like, well, wait, how did you get into this room, or how did you get in here, or something? And he was like, oh, well, I have some special abilities. Skrulls have the ability to tap into the cosmic force that turned the Fantastic Four into the Fantastic Four, and can give themselves the powers of the Fantastic Four. They're called Super Skrulls. So they can stretch, go invisible, catch fire, and turn to orange rocks. So the Skrull hinted that he was a Super Skrull, which the Skrulls themselves came from the Fantastic Four. So we did have a third. We had Super Skrulls. It was really, 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 really esoteric, but we had it, and I
Yeah,
got very excited for it.
that's really out there, but oh my gosh, I'm gonna have to listen for that next time I watch Captain Marvel. Um, oh gosh, yeah. Um, but yeah, so we've got that now we're getting a brand new team. Um, we are leaving the Fox teams behind, sort of, um, and getting a brand new set of Fantastic Four heroes, including the Mandalorian. Like,
Yes,
of all
Pedro
people,
Pascal.
they got the Mandalorian playing Mr. Fantastic. I don't know how many people I saw fan casting him as Mr. Fantastic. Just as many as were wanting Jim Halpert to play Mr. Fantastic, and I mean, it worked.
Yeah.
So it seems like this is either from a different time period or a different part of the multiverse. Am I wrong?
No, it seems really different. The styling, it does feel like it's one of those like the 70s interpretation of the future, and everybody knows who the Fantastic Four are in this universe. And so for them to be like, oh no, we've always been around, that wouldn't make any sense in the MCU. So I'm thinking this might be multiverse shenanigans, which which Mr. Fantastic is very into multiverse shenanigans. So,
Well,
and
and it
I,
makes sense that like it seems, and this is where I figured we'd probably talk about Doomsday a little bit. That like the Fantastic Four are announced for Doomsday, as are some of the X Men from the Fox, or at least the Fox casting. Whether they're the same iteration or whether they're variants of, it's Patrick Stewart and company playing the X Men. So we got at least our Earth 616 MCU characters. The Fantastic Four seem to be from a different part of the multiverse, and the X Men from a different part of the multiverse. And now they're all coming together for whatever Doctor Doom has going on. So it would make sense to me that this group from the Fantastic Four, this version of the Fantastic Four, is not from 616.
well, like I said, they love, like, Mr. Fantastic loves his multiverse shenanigans. Um, so yeah, I could see them definitely like world hopping. We've even seen a scene where, infamous in the comics, he has a council, like he has like 12 screens up of different hymns from other parts of the multiverse, and they all
Oh,
like
really?
get together and like problem solve. Yeah, and we've seen a scene where he's got him, he's got what's his buckets from the office, he's got the one from the 90s, and they're all just talking to each other trying to figure something out.
Was that in the trailer and I completely missed it?
Yeah, no, I
Okay,
saw that in one of the trailers.
okay, I
Um,
need to check it out.
Another one that would be interesting. This is a side note. One of the Mr. Fantastics in the comics contacted another Mr. Fantastic and said, "Yeah, come visit us." And we were like, "Oh," and the guy was like, "Oh, okay," because this was a younger version of Mr. Fantastic, and he goes to this other world, and we thought, "Oh, it's the 616 world, or it's the main comic universe." Nope, zombie universe. He tricked that Mr. Fantastic into opening a world to let his zombies out.
Oh my gosh.
And it's like that is rad. So I hope that we do get the multiverse shenanigans from Mr. Fantastic, because it's like he's always stretching himself to a little bit further than he should be. Anyway,
Sorry, I was expecting you to just leave that pun hanging, and I was going to appreciate it, but then you started giggling about it.
no, no, it had to be. It was so bad it had to be spotted. Anyway, um, I am. This was another thing that I was really glad of. I have not heard any flack about Silver Surfer being a woman.
Yeah, I was thinking about that earlier because I knew we were going to discuss this, and I'm really hoping, like, because there are some characters that have been gender bent and it's not gone well, or people have complained about, or whatever. But I really hope that this goes the way of the Ancient One in Doctor Strange. And granted, the only thing I knew the MCU Ancient One before I ever knew that the comic Ancient One was a man. So, and I love her as an actress, so I'm all for it. So to have Julia Garner come in as the Silver Surfer, I'm really curious.
Yeah, I want to see how this works. I want to see how this works out. I'm sure she'll do a great job. The guy who played the Silver Surfer in the last time we saw him was is the same guy. He's a character actor who does a lot of like stunt work, and he was just playing this like the serious thing. I'd be interested to seeing a Silver Surfer that's not cast just for stunts, though. Um,
Hmm.
so yeah, I do want to see how she plays off. Um, and we have had a like not even just a hint. We've had straight up Galactus showing up, and when Galactus shows up,
Yeah,
it's the big.
that's what's going to be interesting. And I mean, only know Galactus mostly from the cartoons that I watched on Disney Plus. Um, but I mean, it's a big deal, obviously. But Galactus World Eater is like eats planets, literally, right?
Yeah, he
So
eats planets.
so taking that to the multiverse, I kind of have like Infinity Ultron vibes in my head of if you were talking about multiverse shenanigans, and I kind of had that going through my mind of like Galactus jumping through the multiverse or something crazy to you know curb his hunger.
Which would be fascinating. I would want to see that, but I'm also like, he also has an entire universe to eat from. Like, we're not low
Yes.
on planets, you know?
So yeah, there'd have
It
to
would
be a
be like,
reason behind it, not just because it's there.
yeah, because it's like, it would be as if someone was like, oh, well, let's go to a buffet. Oh, okay. Well, it's on a street that's full of buffets. It's like, that's too many buffets. I'm good with one, you know? And it's not
Yeah.
like there's anyone. There are very few people who can stop Galactus, and the Fantastic Four have been like the very few who can. So it's not like he's oh crap, I can't eat here anymore. It's more like all right, but yeah, I'm dying to see what they do with Galactus. I want him to be the big, scary menace that he is in the comics, and not the ambiguous cloud of anger that he was in the movie.
Yeah. On with the Fantastic Four, we also have to acknowledge the Robert Downey Jr. Like, there's nothing saying that Doom is going to appear in Fantastic Four, but Doom is the classic Fantastic Four villain, and we know that Robert Downey Jr. is playing Doom in Doomsday. So I think it's kind of assumed that he's going to appear. Like I don't know, like it would make sense if he would appear, even if it's just a post-credit scene. But I mean, at this point, and again, this goes back to like, could they afford him? Kind of like you're going to pay
Exactly.
for Robert Downey Jr. To appear just for a post-credit scene, which he's done before back in the day. But I don't know. I honestly don't know. It would make sense, but it also wouldn't make sense. It's almost a full year before Doomsday, so they got to set it up somewhere. Um, but also maybe they don't. They don't have to actually have RDJ on screen to set up Doomsday necessarily.
Well, and even they hint like, well, Doctor Doom is a problem, just introduce that Doctor Doom is running around. Because that's the whole
Use a
thing is that,
silhouette or something.
oh yeah, silhouette, a hint, picture of Sue Richards and Robert Downey Jr. standing in a park somewhere. Because in some versions they went out beforehand or whatever.
Yeah. Who knows? But I mean, also we don't have them as these young scientists. Like none of them are old, old, old. They're not like with a walker or anything. But they're also not. The last version that Fox did were like young adults, and
Oh yeah,
this version is all mature adults. Especially when you take into account Robert Downey Jr. He's doing really well, but he is not a young adult.
no,
So to have
and
all of these mature adults, like it would make having Robert Downey Jr. as Doctor Doom would be kind of put him in the same cohort as the rest of the Fantastic Four. it seems.
Oh yeah, no.
So
Well, like Pedro Pascal just turned 50, so
I guess it would make sense if the Robert Downey Jr. Doom came from this universe.
oh yeah, I would hope so.
Yeah.
Or
That
like,
being
hey,
said,
we haven't.
multiverse shenanigans. I mean, you could have they announced like 20 different characters appearing in Doomsday, and they could all be variants of characters that we know, and none of them that have appeared before. For all I know, you know.
Well, and those were just the names that they dropped. There could be,
Oh yeah.
I was just thinking about this. One of the announcements or last year was that Cynthia Ovaro wanted to play Storm in the X Men.
Hmm.
She's the gal who played the Wicked Witch in Wicked, and it's like, yeah, give it to her. I'd be here for it.
Yeah.
So it might be that they have these people, but they're all just background characters making snarky jokes. um, they're just over here doing the thing, and then they hand it off to these other people who are actually going to be the heroes.
Yeah. Well, and again, we're probably too far away to really talk about Doomsday yet because there's still way more to come. We could have a whole episode next year about Doomsday. Forget any other Marvel projects. We could just talk about Doomsday probably. Um, but like, yeah, there's gonna be so much to talk about, so much going in, and so much that they're not gonna tell us. Like even with Infinity War and Endgame, I feel like we knew so much going in about who was gonna be in it, and then there's like there was an actor who played the butler Jarvis from Agent Carter, and he appeared in when they went back in time. Like there's, these obscure casting things that like we would have had no idea. There was no reason we would have known this, and they were there.
Oh yeah, and
So
they could give us
who's to
so many
say?
twists with the stories. They could have Doctor Doom kill everybody, or make Doom World, or if they've got Magneto running around, they could do House of M. They could do
Everything,
Marvel
anything.
Zombies. Yeah, they can do whatever they want. This is going to be fun.
Yep. So there's so much that we'll just have to wait and see.
But I do love that we have something to be excited about again. For the last few years, I mean, the it's like all of these movies have been, we go, ooh, that looks kind of cool, ooh, that's kind of cool, but it's nothing that's been really revving our engines like Avengers did or Endgame did. Now Thunderbolts is
Hmm.
like, oh, this is going to be really fun. I'm really looking forward to this. But then we do have these things like the Fantastic Four, where we're all going, okay, yes, more of this, and then we have this hint far off in the future of Doomsday. And now it's like, oh, I want more. What is going to happen?
Well, and then right after Doomsday, we're gonna have Spider-Man 4. So it's like we have Doomsday, Spider-Man 4, and then what if there is anything else between Spider-Man 4 and Secret War? Like, what could it be? You know? So we got some stuff to look forward to.
Oh yeah, yeah. I'm dying for all of it. I'm so ready for this next stage of Marvel. Like
Definitely
I
something.
never lost my superhero love. I wanted more, but I want the same quality, which I know is not how that works. But
Yeah.
like anytime they still say any sort of superhero thing, I'm just like, my ears perk up. Just the other day, I got trolled by somebody who sent me an AI generated video of the new Batman movie with Robert Pattinson, and it wasn't until halfway through that I realized it was AI generated, and I felt really stupid.
Boo.
I know, right? But yeah, I still get excited about anything superhero. So like, all I can say to Marvel is bring it, want more, hungry.
Yep. Amen. All right. Since we were talking about Fantastic Four, I think I got a good way to sign us off for tonight.
All right.
Flame on!
Flame on! It's clobbering time!
Thank you for listening to the Latter-day Saint Geeks podcast. We're members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but we don't represent the church in any official capacity. Don't forget to subscribe to the podcast and to review us on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Select episodes are available on our YouTube channel. Show notes and additional content are available on our blog, latterdaysaintgeeks.com. Intro and outro music were provided by David Schradell.